When you were a kid, or maybe more recently, have you ever played the board game Clue? I recently learned that Clue was first published in 1943. Isn't that wild? And it's held up a little better than some other games from that era. Clue was one of those guilty pleasures, along with Monopoly, Risk, Life, that kept my friends and I entertained for hours. We'd move our multicolored pieces around the board, which came in the form of this idealized Tudor mansion, complete with a conservatory and a billiard room. Who has a billiard room anyway, right? While our alter egos tried to solve the murder that had taken place there, but there's only so many potential suspects and murder weapons, so eventually it would be discovered that Colonel Mustard had offed the hapless victim with a candlestick in the dining room, and my friends and I would giggle with glee, and the process would begin again. Mystery solved. Clue is like really terribly English. Okay, it's very, very English, which you can tell from its setting, and it pays homage to this long literary tradition filled with luminaries like Arthur Conan Doyle and Agatha Christie. The English murder mystery is having a bit of a renaissance recently, I think. The film Knives Out made something like $300 million at the box office by modernizing the formula and has spawned several sequels and imitators. And these things are perennially popular, I think, because folks like the mental puzzle of it all, trying to figure out the solution before the dramatic conclusion. And because in a mystery novel or in a game of Clue, there always is a solution, right? The detective will always track down the lead, discern the clues, put together the pieces just in time. That's part of the appeal, I think. There's never any question that Sherlock Holmes and Hercule Poirot will solve the case. There's no question the inspector's powers of deduction will break through the complex motives of the murderer, and usually, on a dark and stormy night, the inspector will lock the potential suspects in a room and reveal step by step the fruits of the investigation. Elementary, my dear Watson, case closed. There is no question about the verdict, and we're all home in time for supper, mystery solved. But what exactly is a mystery, anyway? The first sense of the word is the one that we know from those books and movies. It's a riddle to be solved. Who is the murderer? Who is the thief? There are mysteries that have clear and concrete solutions. Mrs. Peacock with a rope in the parlor, case closed. But there are other kinds of mysteries too, aren't there? Ones that are harder to unwind, more difficult to comprehend. For the last 6 months or so, right up until this very day, we've been using a prayer at the altar that says, "Therefore we proclaim the mystery of faith." And for years, I've blown right by that sentence without really thinking about it very much, or thinking about it without really grappling with it. The mystery of faith. And some of you are probably already whispering to yourself because you've heard it so many times over the last few months, Christ has died, Christ is risen, Christ will come again. Today we're going to say something a bit different. We remember his death, we proclaim his resurrection, we await his coming in glory, but the meaning is the same. Something has happened, something is happening, something will happen. The English word mystery is taken from Latin by way of French, mystère, drawn from the ancient word mysterium. And a mysterium was a secret rite or ceremony in ancient times. Back in ancient Rome in the 1st century, a mysterium was like a secret society that you joined that had secret rituals. These were very popular back in the time of the early church. And a mystes was someone who was in the know, an initiate, someone who knew the thing that was the mystery, someone who had been told that secret. So mystery does not just mean something that we have to solve by examining clues, but something special that's been shared with you, a secret whispered to you by a close friend, a special piece of information you hold close to your heart, words written inside of a wedding band or in a locket around your neck. something that you hold dear. So Sherlock Holmes books are one kind of mystery, or a game of Clue, or Agatha Christie novels. But mystery has a deeper meaning as well. It means a little-known secret that has been shared with you. The mystery of faith is that Christ has died, Christ is risen, Christ will come again. And how much is said in those few special words? Think about it. First, to say that Christ has died is to say many things about his humanity, first off, and his death on a cross in Jerusalem. All of the incarnation and all of the events of his life are bound up in those words, Christ has died. To say that he is risen speaks volumes about what motivated the first disciples and about the essence of the faith that we proclaim, which is about life overcoming death, light vanquishing darkness, hope driving out fear. And to say he will come again expresses the dream that this earth and all that is in it will one day be transformed, is in fact being transformed by a power greater than any evil. And all three of those statements taken together speak to one thing, that Christ is present to us here and now. It's so easy in our world to forget that, to be caught up in this age of anxiety that we live in. Because that's what the secular world largely is. It's anxiety and fearfulness. The advertising on television is blaring to you about products you don't need for problems you didn't know you had. The talking heads on TV are screaming and ranting at each other over 15-second sound bites. All the world is ablaze with anxiety, with fearfulness, with trepidation. But Christianity tells a different story, folks, and preaches to us a different message. Our faith, even when it speaks of the apocalypse, and it does from time to time, doesn't do so with anxiety, doesn't do so with fearfulness, but with hope and with joy. The Messiah will judge the nations, the prophet Isaiah says in this morning's readings, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. And St. Paul, from the seat of imperial wealth and power, from the heart of the enemy itself, from the capital of the persecutors, wrote, salvation is nearer to us now than when we first became believers. The night is far gone. The day is near. Let us lay aside the works of darkness and put on the armor of light. This preparation, this waiting, this hope for the coming of Christ is also a mystery. Not in the sense that it's a puzzle we have to solve, we can't do that, but in the sense that it's like a secret, something that you know in your heart, something that's been passed down to you from generation to generation. It will be like the days of Noah, Jesus says, when the sun rose bright and clear like every other day, and the rains were only a summer storm until they were up to their necks. And the old was swept away, and the new came suddenly with thunder and lightning. So it still is with us. Imagine two people are standing at the grocery store watching another person choose to eat or to buy diapers today. One pays for her groceries, the other turns away. One of them, I think, sees the kingdom already. The other worries she never will. Two people see a broken down home. One works to rebuild it for a family to live in. The other passes by angry because the construction blocks his way to work. One has seen Christ radiant in glory. The other curses the traffic and moves on. Christ has died. Christ is risen. Christ will come again. We remember his death. We proclaim his resurrection. We await his coming in glory. They are words to us that are more than words. They are like lenses for the eyes of the heart. They're a way of seeing the world that brings out the hope of our calling into a sharp focus. They're a promise not just of things to come, but of the way things can be now. When I was a child, I used to think that heaven was somewhere up in the clouds, somewhere you'd sort of get to eventually. But as I've become older, I've seen the wisdom that heaven is not just something to be viewed from afar, but something for us to work for, something to be made real, something that can be heard and seen and tasted now. It's a mystery we solve not with deduction and clues, but with eyes of the heart and movement of the Spirit. And when the truth is revealed, it's not a locked mansion on a dark and stormy night, but it's a dawn breaking over us who dwell in darkness and the shadow of death, a light illuminating the whole world. The mystery is ready to be solved, friends. The game is afoot, as Holmes would say. And the secret is that Christ will come again, not just in the future, not just in some far-off time of judgment, but that Christ will come again into your life here and now. We await his coming in glory, not just in millennia hence, but now, today, in the parking lots of our stores, in the brick-walled suburbs of Tucson, beneath the underpasses and at the counters of food banks, in the office boardroom, and walking next to you on the street, in your dreams and in your hopes too. Christ will come again. We await his coming in glory. The mystery of faith for me is not just that Christ died or even that he will return. It is that, but also, especially, that he is with us now. That he is with us in bread that is broken. He is with us in a gospel that is spoken. He's with us in hearts that are open. Lord Christ, we are ready to know you better here and now. Let it be so this day, according to your great and gracious will. Amen.